Welcome to New Game Plus. You're listening to a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name's Kenny.
Hard swallow Nolan.
And this is episode 293, and out of context, that's problematic. This is a normal episode.
Yeah, why?
Right?
We need to be doing something cool, like having a guest.
Well,
It's the first time this year that we've had a normal episode.
Should I go get my dog as a guest?
I don't know, Kenny, if you know how years work, but it is the first time since summer was not normal, and then right after the summer pool party was not normal. This is the first back to normal in many months.
It does feel good.
That's basically a year.
Okay. Well, it looks like Rockstar is going to continue profiting off of their games in dozens and dozens and dozens of ways, if at all possible. And you can't blame them. They're a company that is out to make money, so they're going to do that. As long as they're producing quality, which they do. This time with a remaster of the 3 classic Grand Theft Auto games in GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Rumors are that these games are being remastered using the Unreal Engine and will be a mix of new and old graphics. And it appears that these games will be released later this fall for multiple platforms, including the Nintendo Switch.
Great idea. Kenny says no. I think great idea because everyone wins. They win because, yes, they need to make money. And they're also not going to release GTA 6 until 2060.
No, there's no reason to do GTA 6 when they're making millions and millions and millions off of GTA 5 still.
True, but at some point you've got to move on. Everyone does. But like you're right, they're still making money. RP is like at an all-time high on Twitch. It's a very popular game. So that'll tide people over. Those 3 games are sick, so I benefit. San Andreas HD, sure.
Yeah.
You said everyone benefits. I don't. But that's all right.
It's because you play Hades, and that's about it.
And still have an unfinished game of DCS soup.
DCS nuts. Yeah, so I agree that it's a win-win, and I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place here with my feeling. Because well, do you want to know the rock or the hard place first?
I want to know the hard place.
No, which one do you want to know first?
Okay, The Rock.
Okay. Dwayne.
Oh.
Okay.
Let him go, Dwayne.
So no, The Rock is these games are great, and so to have them remastered and more easily accessible to play today is a great thing.
Yeah.
That's my rock that I stand up on.
And the hard place?
The hard place is that I don't like this behavior. I want you to produce new games. You remaster some old. I'm fine with this because bring old games back into the new. That's great. But also continue making new. I'm frustrated with the existing on the laurels of 5 for a decade plus because it was great, but then not doing anything in the series since because they don't have to.
Yep. And
that's my hard place.
Okay, I'm with you on the hard place. I want new games, but Blizzard's doing the same thing with Diablo 2 Resurrected to buy time so they can make Diablo 4 worse.
They've got a whole different hard place.
They have a
Okay. Here, what is the last remaster that you played? Can you remember outside of this podcast?
Right, because
I just played the FF10 HD.
I feel like yours is 7, Dustin. Does that
count? Yeah, it's a remake. That's a new game.
That's a new game, yeah. Oh, just remaster graphic wise? I don't know.
Yeah,
outside of the podcast, probably the StarCraft reskin is the only game.
Oh yeah, that was a while back. No, it's
it's been a bit.
Okay,
it's been a minute.
Oh, Nolan, what are you talking about? Yours is Mass Effect.
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly mine. That's not a remake. It's a remaster, and it's awesome.
And you're glad, yeah. I don't know what mine is, but for now, this is all we know about the classic GTA remaster. It's not even fully, like, completely out. Like, these are still somewhat rumors. But if you're interested in this, start saving up your coins in your piggy bank so that you don't have to borrow money from friends, and maybe you can be the first to pick up your copy when it releases. Like in our retro game of the week, Pigs in Space.
Overview.
Pigs in space.
Space.
Pigs in space.
Why that? Why that?
That's how the skit is a
you
video
know
game.
The skit?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Pigs in Space
Button up your shirt.
is a game that came out in '83. I like it unbuttoned. For the Atari. It is a collection of games based on the Muppets skit Pigs in Space. The game was developed and published by Atari, which in this case means 3 people, each one working on a different game in this collection. Where do y'all stand on Muppets? Pro?
Ooh.
Pro? Care?
Oh,
Don't care?
So pro.
I
Pro
knew
or
you'd be
anti?
What'd you say, Dustin?
Are pro or anti? Rock and hard place kind of conversation. Are you pro
Yes.
or anti?
Yes.
That's Kenny, that's the thing. Are you for or are you against?
He said yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were saying that was your answer.
No.
You were pro and anti, and I was like, that makes no sense. Yes, I already said I'm pro. I'm very pro.
Wow. You've got a frog in your throat.
Okay, we're not gonna Kermit all these jokes.
Permit these
Okay.
atrocities. Listen, I never watched the Muppets.
Ever? Like you've never seen
Not
a
even
skit?
a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Yeah,
Whoa.
of course I've seen a few sketches maybe, but like I don't know why. What channel
It's hard-
was it on?
It's hard not to be familiar. Like they're generally pop culture. I don't remember like overtly watching the Muppets, but I've seen them on
Oh,
YouTube
I
and
do,
done the rides
like-
at Disney that have them, and like they're everywhere. It's hard to avoid, especially they. I mean, Nolan is hip, and so he knows them because whatever. But like, especially they were kind of right more in my time than
They're
they were
older.
for you guys.
I know 3 Muppets. I know
Ma-
Kermit, I know Miss Piggy, and I know Animal. I almost said Monster, which is not. I think he's Animal. The drummer, the
Yep.
redhead drummer. Those are the 3 I know. Okay, but so Kenny, you're saying that you only know it from pop culture. You didn't watch it.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen an episode of the Muppets.
Okay, but that's
Wait.
so not
I didn't
confident.
actively watch it. No, I probably live somewhere in between the two of you. Like I feel like I'm more familiar.
And this
than
is
you are.
weird.
Well, they're
Hey,
just
because
so
I didn't, like,
ingrained in pop
consume them.
culture, and I think like Kenny, when he sees them, whether it's like, oh, I saw the show, or it's in pop culture, you appreciate it because they do
But,
make
like-
cameos all the time.
Cameos?
Yeah.
Oh, they show up just in everything. Like
Cameos. That's really funny and was off the dome. But listen, yeah, sure they show up, but I have never watched I wouldn't puppets that
No, you
have
would.
No. I'm not gonna watch a show on puppets, and
Dustin, the
especially
fact
if they
that you-
sound like this, or this is my Kermit impression right here.
okay.
Well, hello guys, it's me, Kermit.
Excellent,
Frog
Kermit.
here.
Excellent,
Kermit the
Kermit.
Frog here. Oh, I'm getting close.
No.
Kermit the Frog here. It's something like
I mean,
that.
it was closer than the first one. You're just embarrassing yourself.
Well, I'm not embarrassed.
You would like it, Dustin, because of all the
No.
puns you've made. That's all they are. It's such a clever show.
Listen,
More
I
than
feel
the
like- Growing up, I feel like that you either had to be a Muppet fan or a Sesame Street fan.
no.
Yeah, and Muppets is way better than Sesame Street.
Oh,
believe
no.
that.
Apple.
They're both great. I love them
You
both
can only
equally.
pick one.
No, no. I
This
was
is
all
a-
about some Fraggle Rock, like the different Muppet skits. I did watch it on TV. I feel like it came on our PBS channel. Like I watched it on TV.
That's what it is. I think you had to be a PBS kid, and I had cable, so I didn't watch it.
You still have access to PBS. You had to be
Okay.
rich to like the Muppets. either. Why are we talking about this? This game's called Pigs in Space, which is a Muppet skit where Miss Piggy, Link, Hogthrob, and Dr. What? Strange Pork are in space in a spaceship called the USS Swine Trek, and different scenarios happen. They do different like spoofs or parodies on like Alien and Star Trek and other sci-fi classics. They just do them, but with puns related to pigs. So Dustin, you would like this show because they're very clever in how they go about like humor.
Nolan, you seem to know everything about this show, which is great.
I don't.
Maybe you know it, or maybe you did some research. Well, I'm going to pretend you're an expert because I have questions.
Okay, fine.
That's one of them. My question is this. Was it called Pigs in Space, or was the actual show called Pigs in Space starring Miss Piggy?
It wasn't called starring Miss Piggy.
So that's a tagline just for this game?
Yes.
It shouldn't be, because she's in one game.
I don't know.
She's not the star of this game?
Well, she's the star of everything that she is in.
Ooh,
if you know the character.
A good way to live your life.
I would break down the games a little, but that would ruin gameplay. So I'm
please do
done
not.
here.
No,
Story, no story. You just watch the skit. I told you they're in the USS Swine Trek and they get into different misadventures.
I will read to you the box description of the game, okay?
Okay.
Just so that everybody can have a general understanding of what this game is about, okay?
Okay.
A tri-pigathlon of 3 thrilling outer space games. Chicken Invaders, Posteroids, and Escape from the Planet of the Gonzoids.
Yep.
That's what we got ourselves into this week, and that is what we're going to do our best to try to talk about for the next few minutes.
Gameplay.
I need to clear something up. I, in my first play, called it Galaga, and I meant Space Invaders. So all the comments on YouTube, I can't believe you said Galaga. You know, go away from me.
You got flack, but it's like it's a fair thing to equate. Galaga is just Space Invaders version 3.
Yeah, it's an updated Space Invaders.
Okay.
Right.
All right. As long as you guys forgive me.
Here.
We got your back. There's three games here, as mentioned. Chicken Invaders, Posteroids, and Escape from Planet of the Gonzoids. If you can't tell from the naming convention alone, Chicken Invaders is a Space Invaders clone. Posteroids is actually a Frogger clone.
It's a Frogger
clone. It's not an Asteroids clone. It would make you think that, but it's not at all.
Gosh, that makes it even worse.
Well, I don't know.
And then closer to Frogger.
And
although
then
it's not a direct clone.
Escape from Planet of the Gonzoids is not necessarily a clone. It's supposed to be like a top-down scrolling space shooter, you know, that was popular. These are popular arcade, popular Atari games, and so they are taking those and trying to reskin them with pig or chicken themes.
This 100% is the 1983 version of what we see in video games for so many other years, where they take something known, they repackage it, and they resell it based on some kind of popular license, and that's the gimmick.
This was one of,
you know, they lean into it well. Like, it's Muppets. They're gonna make the puns. They're gonna do that stuff.
This was one of the early ones too, of based on movies and shows. 83. So they were like, "Oh, opportunity, money," and then they just hired 3 guys to make 3 games and then put that on it.
The thing that is interesting is that I think I brought this up when it was Inspector Gadget, in that when the game came out and when we watched it, it was completely syndicated. I'm not sure if that was Inspector Gadget when I brought it up or another game, because we played a few of these before. But this is another one where Muppets was no longer... New episodes weren't being produced by 1983.
Right, which is also hard for me
syndication. I know.
Think of. I was like,
I know.
for sure it went to the 80s, but no, I guess
so.
not.
Muppets were 70s. And
Yeah.
early 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, early 80s. They stayed popular through the 80s. I mean,
No,
they
I
stayed
know-
popular even after that.
Yes, Kenny?
But the
I'm
show
not
itself, yes.
not talking about the popularity. Of course, they're still popular today, and they'll come back even stronger, I'm sure, at some point. But the new episodes, like actually creating new episodes, they're not doing that they weren't doing that any longer by 1983. So yeah, they're hopping on this right away, trying to do a money grab. So a few times with these, you get real heart behind it. Fans of a series, a movie, a book, something that's making something out of it, and you get quality.
Yep.
But that is rare. More often than not, you've got cash grabs. You've got people just jumping on, trying to really make a quick buck.
I don't know where this game falls in sort of history of video games, but this is 1983. This is
Yeah.
either during, right before, or directly after this big video game crash. That's when this happened.
This caused the video game crash.
Yes, that's what you're
Yeah,
saying.
And I would posit without knowing, I could be wrong here because I'm just talking East, and that was the year that this is the kind of game that led to that. I was watching some content related to this game to get ready for this episode, mostly because the game itself is so simple. I knew we wouldn't have enough to talk about. And one of the like old Atari like highlight reels that talks about all the games that they have out and that they are currently in production to kind of try and sell to people. I watched through a little while because it highlights this game for a little bit. And just the landscape of games and all of the different things they were doing, including talking about licensing games as this sort of new, sort of next generation concept that was going to make them a bunch of money, was certainly like a reality of what was going on. And so, again, I don't know where this falls in that puzzle, but it's right in the mix of that, like, they just weren't doing what they should have with games yet kind of problem.
Okay. So the first game in this collection is, and the game is very simple. It starts with a screen with 3 heads on it, and you choose one of those characters. It's one of the 3 that I said earlier. The first one is Link Hogthrob, and that's the Space Invaders clone, which is literally Space Invaders with chickens and Gonzo's head at the top. And so you're just shooting Link sausages.
From a finger gun.
From a finger gun.
I love that it's a finger gun. That's actually really fun.
I do too, but I almost don't though, because it's like, what's going on?
I kind of do. Even the perspective of like looking at the back of this character's head and the finger gun being what's shooting actually felt real. I don't know. It felt funny to me, and it felt kind of Muppetish.
So that's the back of his head. I legitimately couldn't tell.
I asked too in the first place.
I
Nose
could not
or
tell
ear?
what I'm looking at.
No,
Yeah.
I think ear.
Okay, so
Really?
He's looking.
He could have been in profile, but I don't think it was.
I think he's looking at the
that
screen.
way,
No, we
and
can't
it's
tell.
back of his
That's
head.
really funny.
Is ridiculous. And so yeah, it's there's really not much to talk about here in this game in particular, because it's the one that I think most closely resembles the game that it's trying to be.
It's the
It's
game.
a pretty direct clone. And we did a whole episode on Space Invaders.
So
did?
go and listen to we did a
Yes,
whole
Like, go
episode.
and listen to that if you
How?
want our actual thoughts on that
Okay.
that gameplay. This probably is a little different in Space Invaders in that like the difficulty ramp probably isn't quite as severe. As you play, it does ramp. And maybe I just didn't get there, but I don't feel like it's quite as heavy. There's definitely some gimmicks in the difference of like your character getting turned into a chicken instead of
And flying off.
dying or whatever, him
Yeah.
running off screen. There's places you can tell this is sort of targeted as a kid's game, and it really was. It was sort of a like, hey parents, here's a compilation of these other popular games, but like made for kids
For the price of
and
one.
with your friendly Muppets. Exactly. So like they had a whole angle here.
Okay.
And it shows in this game, but this was the closest one-to-one match of the game they were trying to be like versus their implementation.
Just to get it fully out there, chickens are the things you're shooting. They are dropping eggs only one at a time on the screen, dropping towards you, but fairly quickly. They're in rows, columns, and you're needing to shoot up from your finger gun. What is it? The
It's
bacon?
a sausage.
Sausage
Okay, but you
links?
are a pig, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
This just it's dark.
Oh, wait. Okay, maybe it's not sausage links.
I
You're
mean, the chickens are shooting eggs at you. That's not dark.
But we never think
That's reproduction.
dark. Yeah. Oh. Reproduction. Okay, and then for some reason, yeah, Gonzo is up at the top, and if you get him, you get extra points. But just like Space Invaders, it's a point crawl thing. Like you're just trying to stack up the points. After you clear the map, there's not a new stage. You actually go back, if I recall, to the game selection, and you can start, and then you can pick any of the games. With the same amount of lives that you had. You start with 5, I believe. You can pick the same one, and I believe, Kenny, that's when supposedly the difficulty increases a little bit.
It does. And
okay.
I played enough of each of these this week to feel that. Like
I don't think it continues to. I feel like it's just the 1-2, but maybe there's more.
There might be more. I had a hard time both because these games are actually kind of tough. They're not very forgiving. And just they're tough to want to keep playing over and over again.
They're slow, the pace, yeah.
For lots of reasons we'll talk about. Yeah, that I jumped between game types more than playing the same game type over and over and over again just for my sanity.
Yeah,
I did too, and I feel like the choice for them to program it so that it sends you back to the menu after that, they knew like, oh, these games are kind of
It's not a bad thing. Yeah. Okay, so Posteroids is next, which is, I think, a knockoff of the word steroids. And it is... it's supposed to be a Frogger... It's supposed to be a Frogger clone.
Asteroids.
It's clearly a Metroidvania. We're being dumb. It's clearly Asteroids.
The name is from Asteroids, but it's a Frogger clone. Y'all are making it so much more confusing.
Why is it pasta?
We're explaining things to people.
There's a lot of Italian themes in this, Italian food themes in this game. But I'm assuming Miss Piggy loves pasta.
I don't remember that trait, but maybe.
Okay, that character trait. Okay, but the thing about this is that you are moving north on the screen, trying to avoid the rows of either pasta or meatballs
made of pork,
and you have to make your way to the top of the screen and get into a spaceship. You are Miss Piggy. This is the only game that actually stars Miss Piggy, and it is so much. Whereas Chick Invaders somewhat faithfully mimics Space Invaders, Posteroids does not faithfully mimic Frogger.
Yeah, or Asteroids. It's neither.
Oh my gosh! Of course, it's not Asteroids.
I know. I'm just trying to make it clear for people that are confused.
But let's not even bring that. It's more confusing us bringing it up.
Well, maybe that's my job.
You know what? Also, it's not like the Aladdin game.
I'm moving on.
It's not like the Aladdin game.
You said your character is moving north. That makes no sense. You're in space.
You need a compass?
There is no north. There is no up and there is no down.
NASA nerd.
Yes, that's wrong. In fact, first of all, the enemy's gate is down.
Right, the enemy spaceship is down, and so you should be moving down on the screen.
Look, okay, I'm glad that you really needed to say that. Before you say your thing, Nolan, I just wanted to say my interpretation was that we were on a planet trying to escape the planet in a spaceship, but I might be wrong.
Okay. Based on Frogger, controls terribly, not like Frogger. I feel like this was the first draft for either Bill, Robert, or John. I don't know who worked on which game. But this was like the first draft, and they're like, it works, and they were like, yeah, but doesn't feel like Frogger, and Atari was like, okay, doesn't matter.
I like Frogger as an arcade game.
Same.
But Frogger is good because you've got clearly defined rows, and you pop from one row to the next. There's not an in-between.
You don't glide.
And in this game, the entire black screen is your platform. And so it's not seamlessly moving from one row to the next. It's a slide or a glide, and there's space in between and all around. It feels bad.
And it remembers inputs. So if you hit up like twice thinking, man, this is taking a while, it'll remember the second one and make you keep going when you didn't want to. And it's just bad.
It definitely is loose and feels very different than Frogger. If you play enough of it, you're gonna get used to the glide a little bit. It's not good, and it's one way it's different from Frogger. It's also different in that there's just not as much variety. Frogger throws a bunch of variety at you. However, you also get a mechanic in this game that you don't get in Frogger, which is really fun.
I'm interested if Nolan discovered this, because it's easy to think it's Frogger and then just use the joystick to move.
Yeah,
But
I
you've
doubt
got
he
to
ever figured it out.
on the Atari 2600. You have the joystick and the red button.
Yeah, the
He
chop.
does know it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. I thought it was
gotta-
eating them, but
I
apparently
thought so too, because you're a pig, and it should have been.
it's-
But you
You're
can
correct.
yeah.
you can consume or karate chop or eat the meatballs, whatever. And I keep calling them cookies in all of my
And you
notes,
should be
but
able to
they're
do
not.
that with
They're
the
meatballs.
macaroni too. I mean, the
You
the
can't.
Look
pasta.
like cookies.
That's dumb.
No, the pasta is clearly uncooked. It was
Man, this is
the
the
Oh,
worst
it's
podcast.
daggers of
You're gonna eat it in
uncooked
This is
pasta.
the worst podcast I've ever.
You
heard
can't
about.
chop a dagger.
No, so-
Yeah, you can.
It actually,
so it's
it act-
a cool added mechanic where you can karate chop the meatballs. Kenny.
It's so
and
cool.
it did make it much easier than before you learn that mechanic. This one, like Frogger, is a fairly tough challenge. Like, you got to really be on your toes, on your hooves. And so I found that the game got significantly easier once I knew when you were in those rows you could karate chop and get your way through and have a little reprieve. However, a few things to note.
Okay.
One,
Well-
you're not racing against dying or not. This isn't Frog getting flattened on the freeway. You're racing against your spaceship leaving you, so it's just
Yeah.
a time thing.
Okay.
And because of that, when you get hit by stuff, instead of just dying or starting over, you
Right.
just get knocked further away from your spaceship.
Backflip.
Right, and so it's this time challenge that's more the issue than like can you make it or not.
True.
And
Right.
that element of this I actually kind of liked. I found it was
Okay.
sort of a nice balance of like
Right.
challenge but pressure and trying to go fast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So pigs have hooves.
They had no. I was like,
No,
what? They don't have
they're
hooves. They have
not.
feet.
Have
That's true,
dainty,
'cause people
dainty
eat
feet.
big feet.
Pig feet.
Pig feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to
I'll
apologize?
retract. if you'll say I can have hooves, I'll let you have North.
Have what?
Wait, you have feet.
Yeah, you do have feet. I've seen
You
them.
don't have hooves, Kenny. Okay,
You just didn't know I'm a fawn.
Kenny, I agree with you. The not instantly die whenever a pasta or a meatball hits you is nice. It is just hard to get back into the thing because
Oh.
the nice thing is you only get hit one row down, but then you get hit
It
by the next meatball and you're down
spirals.
another row. So you're pretty much starting back at the beginning every time.
I ended up just
Yeah,
holding
it's
up
punishing.
and just
Just-
hoping like I
It
would make
is.
it.
It is certainly rough. And not the easiest. The thing that bothered me the most about that game is that Miss Piggy, if you recall, is one color tone.
Yeah.
There are no colors to distinguish whether or not she's wearing any clothes. So is what happened, canonically speaking, is that Miss Piggy has gotten lost out in space without her clothes, and she's needing to make her way back to her spaceship. She is nude.
You
That's-
don't know it's not a monochromatic spacesuit that's tight.
No, apparently it's
Skin
in the
color?
booklet. Do you?
No, it doesn't say that she's nude. Miss Piggy's nude with her hooves.
That's something they
just
would do in the
flapping out.
skit though. Like some of the jokes are off color in the Muppets. Like it's not that kid friendly.
It's one color. She's all pink. There's no clothes, and they can do different colors. Gonzo has different colors. The spaceship has
that's
different
your
colors.
biggest problem with this game.
That's my problem.
No, my
with this
problem-
one in particular.
The Frogger, the non-Frogger clone is not even the worst game. The final game is their creation. Like it's not a clone of a game. It's just a spaceship in a confined space going upwards, and you have to dodge spikes on the sides in front of you and Gonzo shooting at you on the sides.
That's
And-
Gonzo.
Well, yeah, because like gonzoids,
gonzoids.
they're like they have his nose, and your gun shoots up and then curves. So
It's a boomerang.
It's like a boomerang, and
It's a boomerang.
and it can kill you
it
too.
can kill you. It's the worst game. It's the worst design. It's not fun. It's a chore, and it's not rewarding. It's just frustrating.
However,
No.
it is a shoot 'em up.
So
And so I'm going to assume that
I'm-
Dustin enjoyed this one more than any of the other games.
I'm gonna not assume because it's not a shoot 'em up. It's a nothing. It's nothing.
Well, y'all are already bad at shoot 'em ups.
I'm good,
space shoot 'em
homie.
ups.
I'm really
And
good.
this one is not easy, especially at first. I
No.
think you obviously get a hang of it, but you don't. in most space shoot 'em ups, for a reason, you shoot straight.
Yeah.
But in this game, it is the weirdest arc, and you have to figure it out, and you have to be fairly close to the walls for the arc to work and hit your enemies. But if you touch your wall, it's insta death.
Yes.
Or anything.
worst.
If you touch a laser that's actually a flying pizza.
Yeah, it's not a
if
laser.
your boomerang comes back and hits yourself. If you just like, you could die a million different ways, and it's ridiculous because they were like, okay, let's take Frogger, this really hard game, and make a slightly easier version of it with, you know, this forgiving fallback mechanic so that it's kid friendly. And then they're like, oh no, let's make a shoot 'em up game that instead of being reasonable is unreasonable and that everybody will hate.
And then everybody will hate. Yeah, it's rough. It's a slow crawl throughout the mine that I think you're trying to exit. Did you know that you can actually forward the screen if you push far enough north? Then it does move the screen at a quicker pace.
I wouldn't dare do
And
that.
you die. Yeah, you die.
Like,
It's slow.
And then like you said, if you're not close enough to the wall to like calibrate and aim your curved shot to kill Gonzo, it curves the other way, like the wrong way, and it's just like such a chore.
So I actually figured out the right mechanic for that, whether it goes left or right. It's the last input you did on the joystick. So if you moved left, it will go left. If you move right, your shot will go right.
Slightly better game design, but also feels like a workaround that they were like, oh, it works now. Leave it.
Maybe alternate, you know, it could have just done an alternate left, right, but I don't know.
Boomerang shot is weird.
It's tough with how limited you are on Atari. They had to find a way to do
it, but the way
that they did it
was
the worst way they could have chosen.
Okay, so like with all of these arcade-like games, you're trying to get points. So it's not that you can't beat the game. You're just trying to get points going between these 3 mini games. Like we said, it seems like it's meant for kids. In fact, Atari marketed it as being good for developing hand-eye coordination for children.
Oh,
but
right.
There's not a kid that's going to be able to play this game successfully because none of the games are easy.
Pong does a better job of that, like way better, and it's simpler.
You know what else does better than that?
Not
Frogger and Space Invaders and the games
Baseball.
that these came from. So
this is 1983. Going out in the front yard and throwing a ball with your dad is not better than video games. Dude.
All right, so rank the games from best to worst.
Easy.
Okay. All right. EA Sports, go.
It's in the game. It's in order, and for me, it's the first game. It's Space Invaders, Frogger, terrible game.
Okay.
Disagree.
You like Frogger more.
Posteroids, Chicken Invaders, Escape from the Planet of the Gonzoids.
Okay. Ready for mine?
It's mine.
Escape from Planet of the
Shut
Gonzoids,
up.
Chicken Invaders, and then Posteroids.
No, it's not, because you don't care either way. You just...
They're all bad, but Chicken
just because
Invaders
it's original?
In part, but then in part because it's difficult up front, but once you start getting a hang of it, there's some kind of fun-ish challenge there.
I thought I was memeing and it was gonna be a joke that you like this stupid game because it's a shoot 'em up. It's clearly the worst.
But
you
Kenny,
the best. It's just solidifying that he's a sucker for shoot 'em up.
I can't blame him.
He's a troll. I can't. It's terrible.
The other ones aren't good.
Like, I'm a schmucker.
No, but he is. He's a sucker for a shoot 'em up.
You're a schmuppet.
A schmuppet. All right, I'm a schmuppet.
Aged.
What's the reference for 1983? I know, Kenny, you kind of touched on it there in gameplay, but like, what other games can I compare this to around that time? E.T.?
Yeah, I think that was 82, 81, right?
Okay.
And then you can also think like Kenny's college years and
yeah.
Saved by the Bell.
So like, I get that it's 83, it's the Atari. We can't expect something insanely, I don't know, robust, quality, whatever. So like,
this is Atari 2600. This isn't Pong anymore. They've got a few titles that are actually kind of fun. I know we haven't played them because most of our Atari games have been ET, and we've done a very limited selection and some pretty badly like meme type games.
Well,
but
to be fair, there's probably more bad Atari games than there are good ones. In fact,
Absolutely.
It's hard for me to believe. There's 528 Atari 2600 games, I believe. That seems like that's probably 495 too many.
But also, there are like Atari 2600 experts out there, and I don't care about anything that I'm wrong about.
What does that mean?
Because they're like, actually, and then they'll give you like 30 games. Oh, this was so influential, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't know them. I didn't play them yet. I played Piggy.
On the podcast, we played a couple Atari games that we actually gave New Game Plus status.
What was that?
Hero was one of them, and it was a jetpack kind of helicopter thing that was kind of really good.
Yes.
And then earlier than that, we played Lemmings. It came out on a few different systems, but it was the little guys, and that was kind of cool too.
Lemmings is a great game. There's a number of like that. Here's when we get to like talking about this age section. I said yes, it aged like crazy because 2600, but that's kind of unsurprising. And the real issue with Atari 2600 games and whether or not they've aged isn't graphics and music like we normally talk about here during this age section. It's 100% gameplay because all of these had such simple graphics and such technical limitations on music. Sure, you get some that are better and you get some that are just like terrible and cheesy and just sound effects. There's variation there, but that's such a like secondary kind of issue to gameplay that in my mind the real question is like, was it an interesting enough game that people are going to want to play it? And this one was either knockoffs of already other known games made better or worse depending on your argument, and a new game that's like weird and gimmicky. And so it just feels like the conversation sort of answers itself. This one did not age well.
But didn't that Hero game you're talking about, didn't that one look good? I'm trying to remember.
It looked good on some non-Atari 2600.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
It's very simplistic in graphics. I do think, though, and we might differ here a little bit, Kenny, is I do think that it's worth noting, still when we're talking about age, being an Atari 2600 game, graphically and musically, they are factors. Almost every single one of them are going to age poorly when it comes to graphics and audio, and that's notable. We should note it. It's not the only defining factor, but it's just saying, hey, on the Atari 2600, so limited during that time, so to try to play it today is going to be rough for most gamers on the graphic front. On the sound front, thank God they didn't have full sound abilities because that would have been worse, but they do have sound effects. Okay, the chickens dying, that is the worst, most egregious sound, but it did kind of sound like chickens dying.
I wanted an oink.
To chicken to death.
I wanted an
oink. Well,
I didn't get an oink.
You didn't get an oink.
Yeah, I felt like the sound effects, the sounds that you got, and the look of this game for Atari 2600 were both fine. Gonzo clearly looks like Gonzo. You can kind of tell who the characters of the things are, and it's clearly a spaceship, and you're clearly in an asteroid field of food. They portrayed what they were trying to portray.
I don't know about
like they were
clearly,
terrible,
bro.
but I also don't think they were exceptional. There are some Atari 2600 games that you go, oh man, for that era that looks pretty good, and this was not one of those.
Not one.
Gonzo looks like Gonzo because of his nose. There's like,
I mean, and his color. That's part of. Miss Piggy does not look like Miss Piggy.
No.
If you say that to Miss Piggy, she would say, "I don't look like that. I'm much more beautiful."
She would say that just like that. But also, I've never seen nude Miss Piggy, so maybe it does look like her.
Maybe it does.
I
Ask
can't
Kermit.
handle Dustin, and I don't believe Nolan.
I feel like Kenny's
Ask Kermit the Frog. Which wasn't he kind of abused by her? Like, isn't there like he never wanted her? Right?
he's a little stick guy. He's skinny, he's scrawny, and Miss Piggy's kind of a pig.
She's thick.
She's thick,
Complex
and
relationship.
she crushes him.
You guys are overcompensating for the simplicity of this game by getting too deep into the woods.
You have to, Kenny, because also like the other thing that does age. If you're going to make a game about the Muppets, it needs to feel like the Muppets, and it doesn't at all. And I think that's hard to do. Like, why would you take that on? Same with E.T. Like, I know that game is a meme and such a joke in many other ways, but like that doesn't feel like ET. It's not. It's barely shaped like ET, and so I didn't get any Muppets out of this except for Gonzo's face, which I appreciated. But come on,
But what can you do in
Nothing.
83? What
Nothing.
can you do in 80?
Apparently
So
nothing.
they just shouldn't have?
They shouldn't have.
Yes.
So that we wouldn't
Yeah.
have.
It was a licensed gameplay, and
Yeah.
just like so many other let's make money off of a popular licensed games, whether it was in 1983 on an older console or anything else, in almost every case it's a mistake, and it certainly was a mistake here too.
You can get a used copy for fairly cheap
That's okay.
for $14. If you still have your Atari 2600. If you want it brand new, still not that expensive, but it shouldn't be. It's only $60 if you want it brand new on the Atari 2600.
It's $14, and $16 of that is shipping.
Okay, nice. There are other Muppet games if you want to play in the Muppet verse.
Really?
Including Muppet Adventure, Chaos at the Carnival, Muppet Race Mania, Muppet Treasure Island, and even Spy Muppets, License to Croak.
I would give the Treasure Island one a try.
Same.
Okay, well, next week.
Oh.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. Does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Kenny, how about you start us off, bro? What did you think of Pigs in Space?
New Game Plus status? Of course not. However, in 1984, I could see myself sitting down with the cousins for a couple of minutes, swapping controllers, and enjoying myself generally. This game was very derivative. The licensing is really the only thing that makes it unique. And so it probably was a hard pass even in 1984, but I don't think it was a terrible game then for the time and on the console and for their market. But there were still better. So nothing noteworthy here. In 2021, nobody wants to play it, except Dustin probably wants to play the shmup part because he does. That's
I do not. I'll play many other shmups long before this one. This is a bad game, and it's even worse in 2021. Here's the thing. Chicken Invaders is fine because it's not Chicken Invaders, it's Space Invaders, right? That's the only one that that is, I don't know, like, because it's not good, and it's derivative, and it's worse. If you're gonna derive, equal or better. That's the law. And they didn't follow the law here. They should be punished for it. And so, in particular, I'm looking at you. I'm going to name them. Bill Aspromonte, Robert Zdeibel. That's not how you put letters together. And John Russell. If you're still alive, this one's on you. No New Game Plus status.
Oh, okay. Chicken Invaders is the only playable one because it's literally a ripoff of another game. The other ones are terrible. They have nothing to like. It has nothing to do with the Muppets other than it's on the cover, and just a weird choice, weird cash grab. Disney owns the Muppets now. Maybe they'll make another game and it'll be good, but we don't need that. So this is one of those things that you just goofed, and I can't believe it exists. So never play it.
Done goofed on this one. So that's 3 no's, which is somewhat refreshing. We haven't had 3 no's in, I guess, like Kenny said, since last year is how time works.
In a fortnight.
That's a lot. That's a lot of no's. Kind of like Gonzo.
We had 409 people vote on YouTube. 8% said it was worth playing today.
Okay.
Lies.
10% said no, go play something else. And 82% have never played the game before.
The
It's not a
8%
surprise.
there are the ones that are going to be like, Oh, the Atari 2600.
Right. Bacon, crispy or soft or in between? What do you think?
Crispy as possible.
No.
Oh no.
You like soft, nasty bacon, dog?
I mean, you don't want it like gross, flimsy, but if you're anywhere close to crispy, you basically burnt it and ruined it.
Wow, you're so
Alright.
wrong.
Wow.
We had many people write in, only going to be able to include a few of them here. Thank you, everyone, for your thoughts on the retro game of the week. Continue to send those in. Clint said pigs. I think he's doing a character from the Muppets.
Oh, I'll see if I can identify.
Okay, well, I don't know how to do this, but...
Are you going to do a voice?
Pigs in Space is a fun little set of games on the Atari. I don't have much experience of it, the Atari, but I almost prefer this version of Space Invaders on Frogger to the original.
Swedish.
The third game is Burk, but the controls are interesting. Swedish meatballs, Burk.
Yeah. That's the Swedish chef is the character's name, and you did okay.
And you basically nailed it.
That's bad.
I mean,
see, that's why I wouldn't watch that.
Didn't nail it.
Oh, I
Let's
didn't nail
not.
it. Okay.
Let's not.
I was getting hype.
Yeah.
Kenny's always someone that builds.
I can't
other people
speak to
up.
this commentary because I wasn't listening to the content. I was listening to the noise of it. So thanks for writing in, Clint.
I didn't even know what I was reading. So.
Okay.
I think he said he liked this Space Invaders better than the first one or the real one, which is a hot take.
Yeah, no.
And
yeah, he said he almost prefers both to Space Invaders and Frogger.
Oh, he tried to slip one on us? Oh, you can't.
But maybe that was not Clint, and maybe it was the Swedish chef.
oh, it's a little
I don't know.
like spying going on.
Garlisle said, it's a series of basic games that fails to provide either a novel gameplay experience or a novel Muppet experience. The idea of parodying other titles and being a short collection does fit with the Muppets in Space idea of being disconnected skits. And yes, the Atari wasn't ever going to be capable of much, but it's still a disappointment. The Muppets get a beloved place in memory. The game does not.
Yeah,
well said.
Totally true. Totally true. This tarnishes my memory of the Muppets, if anything else.
That's the line, though, right? It fails to provide either a novel gameplay experience or a novel Muppet experience. If it was more Muppet themed, that's one thing, but you could have replaced all of the characters with someone else and you wouldn't have known any different. Yeah. And that's just, yeah, it's problematic. Nick Knack said, I was astounded when I saw this game get chosen, as I didn't think anyone else would even remember that it existed. As a huge fan of the Muppets growing up, I enjoyed this game mostly for the tie-in and the idea that I was playing a Muppet game, but less so for the gameplay itself. The games themselves were fine, but basic even by Atari standards, and not good for more than a half hour of gameplay before getting stale. That said, I still love this game for the nostalgia and will always give it a go when I dust off the Atari. But as to the question of if it warrants anyone going to any lengths to try it, sadly, I have to say no. Even the most devoted Muppet fan will probably enjoy owning it more than actually playing it.
That's probably true, and you're kidding if you think I spent more than 30 minutes on this game total.
Oh my god!
Well,
speaking of time, since I knew Final Fantasy X was going to be picked, so I think it's about 3 weeks now. Yeah. 70 hours, guys.
Wow. Wait, where are you? Are you almost done?
Oh yeah, I'm just doing in-game stuff before I go and finish the game. It's a lot, though.
That is a lot.
DB Muppet. Yeah.
Okay.
Did not. This is the actual name that they came in on. The DB Muppet says, I find irony of this game hilarious. I have had the name Muppet for about 8 years now. The very same week I pulled the trigger and decided to become a supporter, this game was randomized. It doesn't seem like a great game, but I do believe becoming a supporter was a great decision. This is the only podcast I listen to now, and I've almost made through the entire backlog. Great stuff.
Thanks.
Well then,
Thank you.
honor of you, Here's
In
to
honor of
this
you, we
terrible
played-
game.
It's rigged.
Yeah.
It's rigged. I'll say
The
that.
system is rigged.
Yeah.
And then finally, I may have already said finally, but Lieutenant Pat X, I had mentioned recently, guys, that he is doing now kind of like a weekly NGP news. It's an image of a newspaper front that he completely edits. I'll just read a few of the notes from there.
Okay.
The headline reads "Toxic Relationship," and then you've got a quote from Kermit who says she is a swine. You've got a few anonymous sources that are clearly Beaker and Animal that are quoting, a few quotes from them. And then the Reader's Corner includes a list of games from 1983 to play instead of Pigs in Space. So Nolan, you had brought up earlier, what other games can I compare this to? There's a game called Mule, M.U.L. It's Mule, Donkey Kong, and Elevator Action. So those are at least 3 of the games.
All right.
So there's a few there.
Good to know. I like the newsletter.
Thank you for sending in your thoughts and commentary on the Retro Game of the Week. You can always do that. Send in your thoughts to ngppodcast@gmail.com or drop into our commentary channel on Discord, and we'd love to include your thoughts as a part of our show next week. But for now, we're going to put aside Pigs in Space, never to think of it again, and we're going to randomly select the next game that we're going to be playing from our Retro Master list again. It feels good getting back to the grind.
Yeah.
And, randomizing now.
You okay?
We're going to be playing a PC game. It's been a minute. That came out in 1997. It's an action-adventure game published by Mindscape. It's a game that I put many hours into, actually. I don't know if either of you know this as a kid. It is a game that we've tried to play. No, we have played other games in its universe. You'll have to remind me. And it's based on these little toy figures called Legos. The game that we're playing is called Lego Island.
Wait, I think I've played this game a lot too.
I played this a lot as a kid. It's actually
sick. Wait.
It's
can
like
we play this?
It's like Sims, but as Legos. To some degree, you can. There's so many things to do on the island. I don't know. It's a PC game. It scares me.
Yeah, that scares me.
It's like that sweet spot of very difficult to work to make work on a computer nowadays.
I hope we can. I'd like this game, I think.
This is what we need. We need your help, community, to make sure that we can play this game this week. Help us find a way to properly play this game. I know that there are a lot of preservationists. There are a lot of fans of this game that have gone out of their way to either recreate the game from scratch or do something so that people can still play it today. So I know there's enough people that still love it that there's got to be a way to play it.
Worst case, we just played Lego Star Wars.
Why?
Or Pigs in Space for a second.
Oh, I'll play Pigs in Space some more.
Find a copy of Lego Island and play it along with us this week.
There will be people in our Discord server, probably, that can help you get it up and running. Go to ngppodcast.com and click Join Us in Discord.
While you're there, you're going to see some people who have decided to support our show on an ongoing basis, like our amazing and growing list of producer-level supporters. Marlian, Anthony, Austin, Ben, Bethany Fox, Brunt, Carrie, Captain Protein, Dan the Man, DB Muppet, hey, Francesca, hi, I'm Josh, Joey, Jordan, Justin, Corey, Lorelei, Maxima, Mr. Lattes, Nalwell, Secret Duck of Evermore, Shauna Thomas, Unbedavable, Wardonis, William, and Zion. Thank you guys so much for your support. Huge, doubly pig-sized thank you to our director-level supporters, Antonin, Brojim, and Garlisle. And a newest patron joining us this week is Chad. Thanks for being on board.
Welcome, Chad.
Thanks, Chad. Oink, oink. You can follow us on our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. This episode was edited and produced by our good friend Tom Tate. Pause. Announcement. Here in a few weeks, we're not at a deadline, but here in maybe after our 6-year anniversary that happens in September, Tom is going to be stepping down from weekly editing our podcast. That is a 1,000 knives in the heart. Not that he's like stabbing us or back, but like he is a backbone to what we do here on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, he's been such an asset in the growth of our podcast and the quality of what we do, and so just faithful in giving his time and helping, and we've been so impressed. So thank you, Tom, for what you've done.
And we will be sure to speak more on that in the weeks to come. We're not getting too sad yet because we're not there yet, but we do want to plan accordingly. Your ears have been blessed by our voices for the past 6 years because of Tom's editing skills, not because of us.
Exactly.
And so we are looking for a replacement. Again, this is going to happen in about a month or so. So if you know of someone, know of someone that already does something like this, or maybe you listen to the podcast and you're like, hey, I'm a sound engineer and I know this thing and would love to. Here's the thing. We would love to bring someone onto the team that knows NGP already. If we're not able to find that, then we'll go outside of that. But someone that knows our flow, knows our content, that kind of thing. We'd love to bring someone on the team. It's just, we're not going to be able to replace Tom Tate, but we're going to do our best to try. And so we need your help with that. If you know of anybody, please email us, ngppodcast@gmail.com. We will offer a finder's fee of
2 oinks.
I was going to say a plate of bacon.
Crispy. Extra.
Oh, ruined it.
Kenny likes it floppy.
Okay.
So ngppodcast@gmail.com. Join us next week as we play Lego Islands. Until then, I'm still Gonzo.
I'm Kenny.
Come on.
I'm Nolan.
Come on, fools. I'm Kermit, and I'm Miss Piggy. And this has been New Game Plus.